everyone, and welcome to another video. This is everything that I got for the last half of July. So we're officially halfway through the year. It's, you know, coming quicker and quicker. These months just go by super quickly. There's not a huge amount to get through, thankfully, so this video isn't going to be as long as previous ones, or at least I don't think it will be. But I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll just get straight into it. So first off, I have actually a couple art books, which are not things I've gotten recently, but I do have two for this video. The first one being the illustration works for Aya Kano and her series Requiem of the Rose King. One of my favorite currently releasing series, Viz is putting out this title. It's a historical drama. Very overwrought and dramatic, based off of sort of historical events, but also Shakespeare's fictionalization of those events. Really, really fantastic series, and of course that just means that this art book is a collection of just various art pieces for that manga. Kano is a fantastic artist. There's just some gorgeous pieces in here. I will probably do a longer overview video if people want to see it. It's not a super thick book or anything, but I am so happy to actually have this in my collection. It was brought to my attention thanks to a friend that I met here on YouTube. She doesn't make videos all that often anymore, and she told me via my figure collection rather than, you know, Twitter or anything, but I ordered it, and really within 2 or 3 days it arrived from Amazon Japan, and that was really quick shipping for them, so I'm really surprised, but I'm so glad that I found out about this. Thank you, Lara Moon. It was a surprise, and I'm happy to have it in my collection, and I hope you get your copy soon, because it's an absolute beautiful book. But yeah, anyone who's a fan of this series will not be disappointed by this particular art book. I think it's very beautiful, and the actual pieces in it are a mix of covers and sort of more typical pieces that we've already seen, as well as some new stuff. So yeah, something for everyone. The other art book that I got for this pickup video is actually one that I bought via proxy a little while ago, so it took a little while to get to me. It's not actually a manga art book, but it's the concept arts for Hasaki no Kuni, or Land of the Lustrous, and this was actually put out by the studio, Orange Works. This is the first of their concept art books that they put out, and really it's a fantastic quality release. I really like it. It is sort of soft cover, but the binding is a little bit different than what I expected, but this just collects sort of the concept art that they put together when they were sort of choosing how to animate and how to artistically frame this series. If you're a big Land of the Lustrous fan, especially the anime, this is probably one to look into. It is only available via their like actual studio store, so it's a little bit harder to get than a typical art book, but this really just has such a overwhelming sense of place and serenity. There's some absolutely gorgeous, it tends to be landscape spreads in this book, but it's just, I really love it. I think they did a great job with it. And I'm interested to see if they continue with these concept art books with every series that they put out. I'd like to see them if they do. But yeah, some fantastic art pieces there. And again, another one that I would recommend to fans. I do also have the Land of the Lustrous like manga art book by the collected works of the actual mangaka. But this is a little bit different and a little bit it's obviously related, but not necessarily something a lot of people would have maybe heard about. But again, if you're a big fan, it is maybe something to look into. So starting on anime, we have the only new release that I have for this pickup video, and that is Madman's limited edition Blu-ray of the first half of Sailor Moon Super S, the 4th season of the classic Sailor Moon series. This is also the first Blu-ray limited edition that Madman has actually released as the half seasons, because previously they'd put out the first 3 seasons on DVD first, and then the Blu-ray releases were a bit of a catch-up. So yes, finally sort of caught up to this series in regards to the US releases as well, time frame wise. I haven't watched up until here yet, but I am slowly making my way through this Sailor Moon classic series. As I've said previously, I'm not exactly a nostalgic Sailor Moon fan. It definitely was of my generation, but I never had the opportunity to really watch it as it was airing here in Australia. Just because it was a before school show and I wasn't allowed to watch television before school. So it's interesting coming back to this series at my current age and sort of without the like nostalgia behind it as well. It's a strong series and I am enjoying it. I've heard really good things about this 4th season, and then the next releases after this is the final season of this classic series, and then I'll be all caught up and able to watch this whenever I want. But yeah, Madman has done a great job. The limited edition boxes don't mimic the US releases, but I actually really like them, their use of character art and that sort of thing. Although they are very Usagi focused. I don't know. Madman's done a pretty good job with this, I would say. And as previously mentioned, with all of the Australian releases, the video and well, not the audio quality, but the video quality is markedly better than what's currently available in the US, just because we used different masters or we adjusted the masters. I'm not entirely sure. The DVDs were using a different masters than the US, but for this Blu-ray I think it might be different masters. I'm not sure, but I do know that at least the first seasons don't have the problems that the first seasons had with the US releases. I don't know so much about these later seasons for the US releases, just because I haven't been keeping track of that. And the last thing I got for anime is what I mentioned in my last pickups video, and that is Nana Collection 2 and Collection 3. So I now have the entirety of this very well regarded Josei series. Again, Australian release for this DVD set, and it's not exactly hard to find it, but they did, Madman did release this series in a complete fat pack set, but I think that one's a little bit harder to find comparatively to these part sets. Again, this is not a series that I'm only now trying, just because I did have not a great experience with the mangaka's other work, Paradise Kiss. I really found the anime of that to be infuriating and honestly something I did not enjoy watching. And so it kept me leery from Nana for a long time. But now it's been, you know, 7-8 years since then. So I wanted to give Nana a proper opportunity and give it a fair shot. If I don't like it, that's not I won't have lost anything. But I am hoping I enjoy it. I've heard nothing but good things about Nana. I think there are some very personal problems insofar as character writing with Paradise Kiss that made me dislike it so much, and I'm hoping that Nana is better. I haven't read any of the manga for this. I haven't read the manga for Paradise Kiss either. But who knows? We'll see once I finish this and try it, and we'll see if my opinion changes or if I'll be impressed by this series. I hope I am. I honestly do hope that this show wins me over. But if not, that's... oh well, I tried. Can't blame me for not trying. So starting with manga, we have a new release that was just put out this month, and that is 7C's release of Claudine by Ryoko Ikeda. This is a very skinny book, as you can see, only about 100 pages, and it follows a trans man in early 20th century France, and sort of his life and everything, like his experiences and the things that he's gone through. Ryoko Ikeda, for anyone who doesn't know, is the mangaka of overtly popular and famous series Rose of Versailles, another series that I'm hoping we'll see in English sometime in the near future. But this one is one of my most highly anticipated books for this year, and it did not disappoint. I'm really appreciating how much diversity 7C's is putting out in their LGBT titles. This one is not, I mean, it's very much of its time. It's a bit more overwrought and dramatic and tragic comparatively to some of the other works that they've put out recently, like The Bride Was a Boy and even My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness and My Solo Exchange Diary. This is one that don't expect a happy ending, but it doesn't, that shouldn't disclude it from being read. It's very, very, very good, and I can understand why it's so highly regarded and within the community and sort of in general. Beautiful book. Again, 7C's has done a great job. I'm hoping we do see more stuff like this, because there's so much out there that we don't get to have licensed and don't get to see, but it's nice that sort of more niche titles like this are finally coming out in English. For anyone who maybe doesn't follow me on Twitter or anything, but 7C's did just announce their license of Shimanami Tasagare, which is one of my #1 want to be licensed titles. I put it in every single one of their surveys, and the fact that it has been licensed now for release for next year is just phenomenal. Like, that's just wonderful. Completely, again, another LGBT title, but completely different tone and sense to it. But that shouldn't, support both of them, because they're both really good. But yeah, Claudine was wonderful. I'm so glad that this title, such an influential and important title, has finally gotten an English release. And I'm hoping that if this does well, that 7C's will branch into more of this type of material in the future. It's really good. Pick it up if you're interested, and even if you're not, give it a shot. Next we have, as I mentioned in my last pickups video, I think, the second volume of Dora Hedorah. This is the last one that I need to finally finish the collection. I did order this with all of the other books, but they gave me a duplicate of like one of the books and not this one, so they sent me a new copy for #2. Yeah, not really much more to say other than that. I had already read this volume via Kindle, so I just kept reading from there, but it's nice to actually have it and put it on the shelf. I've mentioned this before, but Dora Hedorah is a recent series for me. I just got into it these last couple months, although it has been going for ages, and it does now seem to be wrapping up. Sort of the next couple volumes feel like they're going to be the end and the finale. This one is an interesting little series because it's this hyper violent, gruesome crazy, weird, twisted society and world. But all of the characters are really interestingly written. There's always a very compelling mystery, and you never feel like one side is... like, you can't really demonize one side, even though on one side there are literal demons. I find all of the characters really interesting. Their interactions are wonderful to read. I think they have a lot of heart, even when there are these like extended violent fights and things like that. Yeah, it's a odd bird. It's one that is hard to pin down, and it's not for everyone. I wouldn't blanket statement say, you know, everyone should read this, but if you're not put off by you know, gore and violence and sort of extremes in your manga, then I would say probably check this out, because it's very unlike anything else currently being published. And, you know, it's very unique. I think Q Hayashida has a very unique writing voice. Her characters all seem very genuine as well. Like, they don't feel like they're just weird characters in this manga. They feel like people. And they all have very understandable and human motivations. So, yeah, it elevates it over something that just feels like it's torture porn or a tragedy or just being weird for the sake of being weird. Not that there's anything wrong with being weird for the sake of being weird, but in this series it functions on a different level, and it's more interesting in my opinion to read. But yeah, it's a great series. The 22nd volume just came out last month, or fairly recently. And as I said, it does feel like it's wrapping up. So, you know, if you're wanting to try it out, you have plenty to get through. It is a crazy ride. And finally, for manga, we have another, well, I have a couple volumes from With the Light, Raising an Autistic Child, Volume 4, so the 4th omnibus, and then Volume 8, which is just like a single volume compared. As I said when I picked up the first volume of this series, this is the series that I don't think many people are aware of. It was put out by Yen Press like a long time ago. I remember seeing books in stores when I was in high school, so like a decade ago. Yeah, it's a interesting sort of semi-educational biographical. It's not actually an autobiography or anything like that, but it functions the same way as a lot of educational manga does, in that it's a very I honestly think it's a very respectful and very sensitive take or explanation of autism and having an autistic family member, or that sort of thing. It's one that I had wanted to read for a long time. I finally got the first volume last pickups video. These two are just some more. I actually bought them via Kinokuniya because volume 4 was sort of regular price. Because these volumes are out of print pretty much everywhere. There are a couple, like volume 6 and 3, like a couple of them that are still fairly easy to find and cheap. But some of them are impossible to find. So, as I said when I got the first volume, I don't know whether I'll ever be able to complete this series, at least in hard copy. I do think there's Kindle versions as well. But it's one that's interested me for a long time, and it is really well written. As well as I mentioned in my previous video, this book was the last of it, and if you can see that it's like quite sketchy towards the end here, because the author, Keiko Tobe, she was battling illness and unfortunately died fairly soon after. So this was her attempt of finishing the series in the way she wanted. And then you can see there are some sort of like spin-off like, or one-shots at the end as well. So it's on it, like, it's tragic that her death meant that the series couldn't necessarily reach a point that she wanted it to, but I do think it's nice that she had or made an attempt to finish it, or had the opportunity and the time to try and finish it while she was so ill, and in a way that she felt satisfied. I think it's an interesting one. Again, not one for everyone, but if you're interested in sort of family, slice of life manga, like day-to-day stuff, and educational manga that isn't really very, like, not heavy-handed, very sympathetic and empathetic and relatable and just very genuine, this might be one to try, although I would recommend either reading it through a library or like get the digital copies from Kindle or something, because the actual books are very hard to find and very pricey. But yeah, it's good, and I'm glad to finally be picking it up, because it's been a long time coming for me. That's everything I got this last half of the month. It's actually not a lot, which is a difference from the last couple pickup videos. I am expecting in the next couple of days probably a majority of my new release manga for June to show up, because I did explain in my last video that I made the majority of my order with a different website, and then they just took too long. I think they were holding all of the items until everything was released, so I cancelled that and then remade my order via Book Depository, so they shipped later than they would have, so they just haven't arrived. So I'm hoping and expecting a majority of my June and some of my July manga for the next video, of course. So that'll be a lot of Viz stuff, a lot of the couple Yens and Kodansha series as well. You know, whatever I was expecting to get this month will probably be in the next video. As for anime, I do have a couple titles I'm expecting from the UK in particular. And as for anything else, I think that's everything. Maybe art books, but I don't know quite yet. But that has been my pickups video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments your opinions on any of these titles, or what you've also picked up. As always, in the description is not only my Twitter link, so you can chat to me on there or follow me or whatever else you want to do, but also my Book Depository affiliate link, which is just there for convenience. If you use it, I appreciate it, but don't feel obliged to. I also, for anyone that missed it, yesterday I posted my complete collection video for sort of the half-year point. It's the first one that I've done for 2018, so that's about an hour long. And if you're interested in my collection as a whole, it's there, available, but I'm sure a majority of people have already seen it, but just to let you know in case you missed it. And aside from that, I think that's everything. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye till then.